your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bring you three unique perspectives of varying skill range. I am the Joker of this episode, Andrew. With me are Slow Poker, Keith,
Hello.
and our King of Farts, Aaron.
Oh, come on. For the last few episodes, you've been very nice. You've given me great titles. And now I'm King of Farts.
He's a King of Hearts.
Is that what I said?
I heard King of Hearts.
I heard King of Hearts.
Definitely.
Did you say King of Hearts?
Yeah, King of Hearts.
I think you heard what you wanted to hear.
I don't think he said that. I think I'm being messed with right now.
But this week we played, finally, Balatro. After this episode, can we please stop talking about this game?
Honestly, it feels like we've done 100 episodes on Balatro at this point. I just
like
and I'm not even mad about it because you know me, but at the same time,
I mean, it is technically new to Game Pass. You guys should never have been talking about this. Okay.
Well, we did it on our Patreon episode.
Yeah, well,
Patreon.
So that's totally fair. Obviously, Balatro took over the internet over like the last year, but this has been my first experience. I can't believe I looked at your guys' numbers. Obviously, Keith is in another world right now. Like disgusting numbers right there. But Andrew, you're not that much better. Like you've got a ludicrous amount of hours on this game as well.
Really?
It's up there. I just pulled up Signal. Let me see if I can pull it up again.
I feel like I have not played it that much. But anyway, let's
you got 28 hours.
Oh,
that's not that bad.
Yeah.
That's
child's
all right.
Play.
Keith has 736. So like I said,
it's like 28 days, I think Keith has.
Yeah, you really can't compare those, but I would still say your numbers are ridiculously high.
Yeah, but this game's been out for like a year. So 28 hours over a year isn't, I feel like, not that bad.
Did it launch on Xbox?
Yeah. No. I thought it was only PC first.
I thought it was only PC first.
If it did, I don't know how long it lasted.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, Balatro, it is a poker roguelike. Yeah. Who would ever thought that would be a combination? But Balatro, yeah, is a quick pick up and play poker roguelike where you are just trying to make number go up. That is the game. Number go up. But before we get into this too, make sure you follow us on our Discord or our socials or our YouTube. Aaron here especially has been streaming a lot on both our YouTube and our Twitch. I will have the link to all of our socials down in the show notes. So please make sure you join us. Also for our live recordings, which we record every Wednesday. So thank you all who join us and who've been following us. We love interacting with everyone. We love all the people in our Discord. Me and Keith are pretty active on there. But yeah, Balatro. So let's go around here. Gamer Pass. Okay. So I think this is going to be pretty easy. I'm going to give Balatro a game. But I will say, after the 28 hours that Aaron apparently I've put in, I could take or leave this game. Like I feel like I've played enough, and I'm like, all right, I pick it up every once in a while, do a run or two, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm good. But yeah, so overall, I'll give it a game.
Do we even? You know what? I'll go next.
Yeah, you
because I don't even think we need to hear Keith's opinion. We can probably literally just skip him right here because we already know the answer to that. I am really bad at this game. We just live streamed this before we got on. Keith had to backseat driver on that stream. And as I was doing that, we had some others join in as well. I realized I know nothing about this game. I just checked. I'm like 5.5 hours into the game, or like 6 hours. So I haven't put obviously I'm not even close to touching Keith's time on this game right now. I'm having fun though.
I don't think the creator is close to Keith's time.
That's probably true. There is a fun little rhythm to this, and the in between hands you can tell is where a lot of stuff is happening, and that's where I'm getting the most confused. I would say that's where I'm getting the most confused. Keith would probably say I was getting confused with everything, but this is fun. Like it's fun. It does. I do have one gripe with this game. Like one. All right, maybe I have a few gripes, but this is. I've said this in podcasts before on this podcast where I've complained about a game being a mobile game that's on Xbox. This is one of those games. Slay the Spire was another one. You guys love Slay the Spire. You would always talk about that. But I was like, that is a freaking mobile game that is on Xbox. This is also one of those games that this is a mobile game on Xbox.
But why do you say there's a dig? Like, who cares? What?
Listen, I said it was a small gripe. I didn't say it was a major gripe, but
gripe at all.
It is a gripe. I just feel like the console experience should feel like a much grander experience. Okay, clicker games, Keith, are not Xbox games. Those are mobile games. That's all.
PC games. Cookie Clicker was first on the PC.
Yes, but you could see that as a mobile game. Games that just kind of idle run themselves are mobile games. Again, small gripe, but yes, this is a game.
Okay.
Why are you even thinking about this? This is like a game of a lifetime for you.
This is the definite game. It is. I mean, if there's a definite game to define definite game for me, it is this. This is the game that I'll tell everybody about, because the thing about Balatro is that even if roguelikes aren't your style, if deck builders aren't your style, and like I always say, I talk about Slay the Spire, I talk about Inscription, and the offshoots, so the Monster Trains, Wild Frost, I've liked them all. They're you cannot enjoy those because those can be pretty complicated, and especially the battling aspect of it can add something to it. Now, as Aaron's discovering, Balatro is kind of wild, and there's all kinds of things that are going on to it. At its core, it's so much more accessible, I think, than any of those other games, that I think it's why I'm always like, no, you just try this game. Like, if there's a game you're going to try, and this is why I'm excited that it's on Game Pass, because I've already got at least one coworker playing it, and he in turn got his girlfriend and his brother hooked on it over the weekend as well. It's just it's that type of game that even if you're not genuinely into the style, there's something to be had. And I'm not going to call this a gripe, but I don't think this is a poker roguelike. Like, yes, you play full houses in pairs, in straights, and all like poker hands. That's about where the pokerness stops. I mean that, and maybe the fact that they use the terminology blinds and antes, but really a very minor gripe. It's a roguelike that uses a 52 deck of cards that becomes very much not a standard deck of cards the more you play it. So and I mean, it's got everything that I would want in a game. There's literally zero story. They don't even try to like, oh, you've been sucked into the weird digital card world. Here's the wizard joker that's trying.
That's what I hate.
It is just, here's a game, play it. That said, I've played it now on mobile. I've played it on console. I've only bought it once. I've only bought it once. To be fair, I've only bought it once. But I've played it on mobile. I have played it on console, and I've played it on PC. PC is my favorite experience of the game. Mobile is my second favorite, and console is my third.
Because it is a mobile game.
Keith also played it in his sleep.
I know, and I think you're right about that. In terms of what the best ways to play it are, I think you're 100% right. Because I honestly, I've never disagreed with you about the whole like it's a mobile game, because I get where your argument is, and I think you're right. I just don't think it matters. And I think if anything, it really, what I find more impressive is that they can provide a fun experience while being played on a console. And I think that's what makes them special, because you couldn't put Candy Crush on a console and be like, well, it's kind of fun. Like it wouldn't be fun. It would be a waste of a console experience.
Now, Keith, all right, so you've played this on literally every platform that you could at this point. You said you only purchased it once. Explain that to me. How'd you do that? I did.
So Apple Arcade is how it's available.
Okay.
So I guess technically that's purchasing it.
Oh, okay. Are you? So you've got like a subscription.
Yeah,
and you had access to. Okay.
And I purchased it on console originally, and now it's available on Game Pass. I just downloaded it on my PC.
Okay. No, that would make sense. I was gonna say, I was like, how do you
Yeah.
because I assumed you purchased it on the console with that many hours and it only being on Game Pass for about I don't know, a little over a week. I was like, well, there's no way that he didn't purchase it there. So okay,
Yeah.
that does add up.
Yeah,
I've done
no,
the
for
math.
sure. But yeah, I think that if you have a chance to play it with a mouse and keyboard, I just personally think it's the best experience. I just think it's the best control over the game. It flows the most smoothly in just a lot of ways. And I don't know, we'll talk about some minor details as we go along, but just overall, yeah, that's my favorite experience of the game.
Makes sense.
All right. I forgot another quick caveat. I wanted to ask you guys. So Aaron mentioned it a little bit, but where do you guys land on your enjoyment of poker?
So this is actually where I kind of want to push back on Keith a little bit. Obviously, the poker element is the core element of this game. It's obviously way beyond evolved of poker,
Yeah.
but you do kind of have to have an understanding of poker hands. Like you really do. Like you were calling things out on the stream here that I just didn't know because I don't play poker. So there were things that I'm missing. I tend to see things as like pairs, you know, 4 of a kind, 3 of a kind. Like those are usually where my brain is going, where you were seeing things completely different and you were noticing way more on suits and stuff like that, things that I wasn't doing. You know, there were obviously some elements here, and this has been like a relative like complaint of mine too of games generally, especially with layers like this. I feel like the tutorial should give me a little bit more than it's giving me, but I felt like if I understood poker hands better, I would have been integrated into this game a little bit faster. But that's my thought.
So here's where I push right back, and I mentioned this to you in the stream, is that they use the poker hands as the base, and so that's where the understanding is. And I think yes, it's not a poker. This is really more, I think, any standard. Maybe not 52 because sometimes you play with 2 decks of cards in one game type of deal. You know what I mean? But like how a standard 52 deck of cards works in probabilities, right? Like in terms of discarding and drawing, like the person that was in there streaming with us, Michael, like he mentioned, like you want to discard at least 3 cards. So there's elements of strategy from a poker level that are not necessarily poker, but like probability in cards, right? And I think that's more what I see it as a broader. And that's where I say yes, poker, because even in rummy, you have pairs and 2 pairs and straights and flushes and all these things, right? So is this a rummy game then? Because they use that like because yes, I get the ante and the big blind. Those are 100% poker terms, but there's no and it's not like, oh, I get 4 of a kind, I always win, because in poker 4 of a kind always wins. The way this game works with all its layers, the planets and leveling hands up, all of a sudden playing a single pair is your strongest pair because of jokers and levels and all of these different factors. You're screwed over because you accidentally played a 4 of a kind, the best hand by poker standards.
Yeah, obviously it evolves from that, but I think there's still the elements of the importance of face cards. Those obviously are worth more. So you still kind of have to understand and spend more time focusing on building up your face cards and making sure. And again, those are like a lot of core poker stuff. Obviously, your celestial stuff, your jokers, everything kind of makes it evolve. And then maybe those aren't worth as much because it's actually way more valuable to go this direction and focus on this direction. But I think that was the stuff that's stressing me out when you guys were watching me stream it, is because I felt like I don't understand the strategy of poker. So you guys did. So I'm now looking at these cards like, what do I do? I know what I would do if it was just me. I would just do this stupid thing. But I guess the difference is you've got 700 hours of knowledge. I've got 6. So that might be what I'm just experiencing.
I mean, that's for sure part of it. So I guess we should I guess at least explain the gameplay. And if you've never seen Balatro, you've never
If
experienced
you
any
see
class.
it, you
It's
will be so confused.
so
I've
well.
I've
So
seen
at its
multiple
core,
playthroughs of this, and I've been absolutely baffled as to what was happening because you just see
so
cards just like going crazy.
let's say so. Well, I mean, so you break it down. It's the core of the game is to win 8 antes. An ante is built up of 3 rounds.
Yeah,
The
just call them
rounds.
rounds. Don't call them andes. Just call them rounds.
Well, no,
That's what they are.
but then you'd have 24 rounds because you have 8 antes times 3
Yeah,
rounds. So
24
that's
rounds.
well, but you can skip. So that's a whole. Just roll with me here, Aaron. Just
Okay, all right, go ahead.
your 5 hours mean nothing.
That's okay. That's true. We should probably let the expert explain this game.
So you have your 8 antes. Each ante is composed of 3 rounds, two, or a small blind, a big blind, and a boss blind. The small blind and big blind really mean nothing more than what you can win on them and their difficulty as they go up. The boss blind, there's always some modifier to the overall round, whether it's a certain suit is unable to. Well, you can play it, but it just won't score or give you points. And then there's varieties of things. Like you were on track to run into one called the plant, Aaron, which eliminates all of your face cards. And
Yikes.
so I mean,
I would not have liked that.
you lost before that, but yeah, you were focused on face cards. You were bound to be screwed by that. But yeah, so you win a round by beating the number of points that it assigns for the round, and you do that by playing a poker hand of some sort, anything from a high card to a straight flush, and then you can also play. It doesn't show them to you, but a 5 of a kind, a flush 5, which is 5 of a kind that are all the same suit, and then a flush house, which is a full house that are all
Those
the same
are all
suit.
poker terms, by the way.
Yes, because you can have a flush house in real poker. You can have a full house with all the same suit because magically
you kind of need to know that though.
You got 3 jack of spades in a 52 deck of cards. That's what I'm saying.
I will give them
standard
props.
Poker. It's you. Yes, the only thing you would again have to know about poker is what a full house is, and you may stumble onto it by accident because you've just been casually building up spade cards because you had a joker that did it, and so you just happen to play a full house that's all spades, and then it goes, hey, flush house. What the heck is that? Because that's not even a real poker term, even if you know poker. But
okay,
but I digress. So in between each round, you have your shop phase. This is what you were talking about, Aaron.
Yeah, the fun
your
part.
Your shop phase is where you're going to buy jokers, which are modifiers again to each of your hands played. Your planet cards, which level up all of these different poker hands that make them stronger to play. And then your tarot cards, which are a lot of higher manipulating your deck. Whole bunch of layers. There's a million different strategies and a million different ways to win at Balatro, and that's another one of my favorite things about it. You can stumble and accidentally win. Like you were on track to realistically win that.
I know.
And honestly, I
actually discarded a card I wasn't supposed to discard.
I don't even think so.
It was a dumb mistake.
After the fact, I definitely agreed with him, because I see I think what he was going for. But my point being is that you can like accidentally win at this game because of all of the different like varieties of things and how they can play. Yes, you have to know what you're doing, but it's not poker. It is you have to know the way that Balatro works. Like that really, you have to know the jokers. You really is the biggest thing.
You're right. Like you're not wrong. Like you are right what you're saying. Obviously, the shop round, the jokers, the celestial things, the tarot cards, all of that stuff changes the game. And especially the further you get, you're really honestly playing a different game than what you were playing in the first ante or the first round. It's going to evolve because things are changing. However, at the end of the day, you have to select cards to play. And in that case, it is built off of a poker structure of you're going to need pairs, you're going to need flushes.
So is rummy, so is Go Fish.
I understand that.
Is it a Go Fish game because it's built off cards?
This is to answer Andrew's questions. To answer Andrew's question, if you have not played poker before and you are now presented with these cards you now have to throw onto a table, I mean, yeah, you're not going to know unless you kind of know. This game does help. You can click on the details and it does break down what you can have there, like what it will score you on. But especially when you're first starting out and you haven't even run through the shop, you are ultimately just playing poker hands that result in scoring.
So this is bad tutorial, I admit. But under that run info as well, when you go and you hover over the hand, it shows you what
No,
it takes to play the
that's
hand.
that's what I'm saying. That is good.
In the sheer fact of it comes down to your numbers and your information is just right there in front of you. And those scores, like, that has nothing to do. Those scores have nothing to do with poker. Those are made up numbers that they've assigned to the game for
100%.
purposes. And the only thing that it is done is they have tiered them out in line with what poker hands are. But as I said, the majority of those hands can all be played in gin rummy. Like, and it doesn't make this a rummy game. It like, I get the concept of it being poker, and I'm not trying to like it has nothing to do with poker. It's just I'm just saying overall, it really it's poker for like the first 5 minutes, and then it's very quickly you have to know the modifiers of the game. And that's the only way to know what's really going on. And truthfully, if you read all of the jokers closely, they explain everything that's going to happen. So it's because again, there's going back to, and like I'm joking about it, but I'm not. Like, there's no banana you show up to a poker table with and they're like, oh well, you've got a poker, so your pair wins everything.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I totally agree. Again, that the game evolves. Andrew, you have to be the deciding factor because your question was specifically, do you need to know poker? Or how much knowledge?
How much do you guys know poker? That's all the question was.
I know.
I proposed like over 15 minutes ago that I can find the answer.
Well, this has now spiraled.
Poker for what it's worth.
This has spiraled, huh?
I used to play a crap load of poker.
I know. I think that's why this game connects with you, because that is its core element. Andrew, who was right? Who won the war?
I think it's funny. Before we started this, Aaron's like, "Oh, this doesn't need to be an hour-long episode." Aaron, this is going to be way past an hour episode.
Yeah, because I've already like. I'm not disagreeing.
This is the storyline right here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Andrew. What do you think?
So I am in the same boat as Aaron. I did not play poker. I played poker 2-3 times. All I knew was pair, 3 of a kind, 2 pair. That's it. That's all I knew for hands. So whenever I played poker, they're like, oh, you got this and that. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. So I went into this game not knowing poker at all. So with that, I do also disagree with Aaron that you don't need to know poker playing this game. Aaron, I don't know if you noticed, but I think if you hit the back button, it brought up a sheet showing you what the hands were.
That's what we're talking about. Yes, it does show you
scoring of
what you can play. And I said that was a good thing. Yes. It was a good thing that it had that. However, I will go even just a little step further. Let's say again, I've never played poker before. I pop up that sheet and I'm like, oh, well, the highest scoring thing here is a royal flush. I'm going to aim for the royal flush. That's what I'm going to do. Well, that's also really hard to get. That's not easy to get. So you kind of have to know that because that's normal in poker. That is a very rare hand to have.
That's where I say that can be applied to any card-based game. That's about knowing. I'm going to say, just for lack of better terms, like counting cards effectively, right? Okay, I recognize that I've already thrown away the king and the jack of spades. So even though I have the ace, queen, 10, I can't get a royal flush now. I'm not going to try to play for that. So you're right in that aspect. Having that type of mindset to it is something that, having played poker, I immediately went into it with. So yes, it gave me a leg up in the first, again, 5 hours of the game probably. And this isn't like, oh, you only played 5 hours. Like, but truth be told, like, it really is something that, like, I guess I can understand where you're coming from for, again, like a very small fraction of it. But really, once you get past that small element of it, like the best way I can explain it, and there are some other roguelikes that do it, and maybe this is just again more the thing about Balatro that I like in terms of some of there's a controlled element to your RNG at the end of the day, right? Because you can manipulate your deck and you can narrow it down to a very small number of cards, and you can do this like again in theory with any deck builder, but my mind does work well with a 52 deck of cards. It's just it's easy to wrap my head around. Just numbers 1 through 13 in theory. It's like you can really just control your RNG to be like, okay, I'm going to basically control how this game works. The only thing that really you can't control at the end of the day is your jokers. So
yeah, I mean, I guess that's where the RNG comes in. Is mostly is built into the jokers.
So, Aaron, I understand where you're coming from because I was in the same boat when I first played this game. I was once again playing pairs, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, because that's what I knew. But that's also because you're 6. You said like what 6 hours in.
Yeah,
I now know poker hands, so I can play, and this game has taught me that.
yeah. I keep in mind, it was helpful. Like it was stressful, but it was helpful to stream this and have somebody watch it while I was going through it because it did teach me a little bit more than. And it was. That's why I'm saying, like, I realized, oh, I just have a really limited knowledge of hands. And obviously, I understand the idea of the jokers are how they multiply. And obviously, like you said, you can manipulate your deck to say, like, hey, I'm just want to focus on spades. I want my spades to really give me a whole lot of multipliers. So I totally understand what you're saying. But, at one point you were like telling me, like, dude, you've got a flush right there. And I didn't see it. Like I wasn't looking for it. Like it wasn't immediately triggering in my brain what I was even looking for. But you saw it and you called it out for me. And that's where it's like, man, if I knew poker, I would have known that. I would have saw that and gone right for it. That's all I'm saying. I understand this is not poker. I'm not going to say it is poker because it's obviously not.
well,
obviously
fun
the
fact,
shop, the
The
enhancements,
creator
all
calls
that
it a
stuff evolving.
poker.
I
Huh?
know, and like I said, I'm
creator
not
calls it
trying.
poker.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, this game becomes so much far removed from it.
100%.
It is built
You're
on the barest of bones of skeletons. So I think what I just very, very long-windedly answered Andrew's question of, do you need to know poker? Absolutely not. You just, at least maybe to ease into the game a little better, you do. Because even honestly, like, again, not at some obscene number, but having even it pointed out to you a couple times, like that's going to lock into your brain to look for more. And just as a
100%.
quick hot tip, you can sort by suit as well. So if you're ever kind of stuck, you can do that as like a quick resort. You can go from rank to suit and back to see like, oh, maybe I have a flush, and you can play it out that way. Or I know I want to discard everything that's not the suit, so you organize by suit, and it makes discarding a lot easier.
But if I didn't know poker, why would I rearrange by suit? Why would I ever think that that's an element I need to know? That's my point, Keith. Like, there's a little bit more than a skeletal structure of poker.
I mean, my knowledge of poker, I used to play Texas Hold'em, which was 2 cards. So
Yeah,
it's I was never reorganizing by suits. I didn't do that. I didn't get to reorganize, the blinds that were flopped out. They were played as they were played. So it wasn't like I'm used to reorganizing cards in real poker.
I mean, all I'm saying is you helped me out with my poker today.
The one, I truth be told, but this is again going back to what I was saying. My family has always played varieties of card games in general, like different variations of games played with a standard deck of cards. So like I mentioned, my mind works well with a deck of cards.
You don't think that's a factor?
I do, but I'm not saying. But I'm saying that outside of poker, I'm saying just as cards in general go, like a deck of cards and like kind of the way my mind works with those is different for me personally. But I don't think it's about poker. I think it's about my relationship to a
poker style games.
No, quote unquote standard deck of 52 deck of cards.
Honestly, I'm kind of lost what you guys are even arguing about anymore.
The argument is how much poker you need to know when you're playing this. This is the
Okay.
argument right now.
None.
I thought the argument was whether this is a poker game or not.
You can't say none. You cannot say none. That is impossible. You can't say none.
Because you can absolutely get through this game without knowing a lick of poker and have never played of it in your life.
Dude, at some point, your blinds are getting so high. So the amount of points you have to score, and I'm going to say blinds, we're going to say antes, but okay. But obviously playing really strong hands are going to do that because certain cards are worth more. And those, especially if you're playing straights or you're playing flushes, are going to be huge. The other thing that's a little shocking so far that I've learned here, other than this argument between if you need to know any poker for this, Andrew, you love board games. It's kind of a little surprising to me that you don't have really much of a history in cards. How did that happen?
I don't know. I mean, I like playing card games like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon.
Well, this one,
but not any 52 deck games now.
I don't have patience for games for board games. They drive me nuts. There's too much involvement with a crowd that just pisses me off. I'm just a curmudgeon old man like that. But Andrew does. Andrew has patience to sit with a group of people and say, we're going to struggle through this for the next couple of hours, and it'll eventually get fun.
Me teaching everyone.
Yes, this will eventually be fun, and it's just shocking to me that your description of playing poker was, oh, what? I've got something here. It's just kind of funny because usually you'd be somebody I think would be like, yeah, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to be good at this. Just a little interesting tidbit I've learned so far.
Well, it's because poker is always heavy on, randomness. I know, obviously, before people get mad at me, I know there is strategy to poker. Hence why there's championships and whatnot. But I know that is like mathematical statistics, running numbers through your head. That's not me. So that's why for me, I don't know, for poker, I mean, I never really had too many people that played poker. The last time I remember actually playing it was in high school with our friend Brian. That was I think the last time I remember ever actually sitting down playing poker. I did play poker. I got on Games for Gold. They had a poker game for free and played that for a little bit, but I don't know.
So I think to kind of evolve and push this conversation forward, is this the greatest roguelike game ever made?
It might be.
I kind of knew Keith was going to say yes.
Well, okay,
so I kind of wanted to walk.
So part of me is taking the bait on that, obviously.
Of course,
I'm not
Thank
stupid.
You.
Part of it is me just you want me to say yes, and
I think it's a good question though.
I don't think overall, I'm not.
Here's the Steam charts for you.
I think
I don't need the Steam charts.
Go ahead, Keith. Overall, because I think at the end of the day, well, it's not an easy to accomplish thing. I've never done it. In many people say this isn't a game that's easy, but there really is there's a cap to it at the end of the day, and it's only going to be as fun as you want either getting to that cap to be, or if you can have fun without getting to that cap. Now, me personally, I don't think I'd have as much fun doing it. If you were to go onto Balatro, YouTube right now, there you'll find clips of it. People getting to the infinite end of game.
It's crazy.
It's cool to watch, but I'm it looks so tedious and boring to build out to what it takes to get there.
That's surprising coming from you, Keith.
700 hours in.
I know.
He's looking at someone else what's wrong with you, man?
He's playing idle games.
Play something else, you loser.
The worst part of it is how many of those hours are probably spent of me either canceling runs or just yeah. But because I don't play this game very to the number math. People math this game out. There is legitimate calculators that people build online.
Okay.
That you can go in and you can plug in these are my situations. Here's the jokers I have. And you can calculate out some of them. I think even will tell you if this is what you have, this is your best play. It just does the math for you. But you can plug and play things like it at the end of the day, this is a math game, honestly. And this isn't
Yikes.
me trying to like be right about the whole poker thing, but at the end of the day, what this really becomes is a math game. It becomes about like if you really want to go to its infinite end game goal, right? So there's a point in this game.
I don't want to go to that.
No, and honestly, I was saying this. I don't know that like I think it would be fun to do. It would be you really don't stumble into it. Like you aim for these types of things from the very first round. You aim for these things, and people often, especially who play on PC, have mods that will like they have mods
course
that
they
will
do.
just restart the game over and over again until a single certain event happens in the first round. Like that's so it'll run 10,000 simulations basically until it gets a run that's playable that they can do. I don't want to do that. That takes the fun out of this game to me. The fun of this game to me is going through and being like, this thing, that thing. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, this is working.
Keith,
And you just stumble into a win.
Keith, what's blowing my mind is how you are talking about this game with over 700 hours into it, and you're still talking about it like, I don't want to actually be the best at this. I just want to stumble into things. That's insane to me. You also didn't really even answer my question, which my question was,
Oh.
is this the greatest roguelike game ever created?
For me,
You
yes.
said yes, and then did not explain why. Why you think it is. But you are obviously the resident roguelike guy.
Because
why is this one the best?
For me personally, I think it's infinitely replayable. Because, well, yes, there is 100% these like meta strategies of like this is the best thing you can always do. Like you can't lose if you do this. Like these three things. There is all these like non synergies of just like these two jokers are there. There's a lot of things in this game that are now I'm all worked up and I can't
What do you mean you're all worked up? What is happening right now? Keith, I feel like your life has been building to this moment and you're just collapsing under the pressure. You're
putting the spotlight on me.
All you had to say is why this game was better than Dead Cells. That's all you had to explain to us. Andrew, is this game the best roguelike ever created?
No.
What one is better than this and why? And then I want Keith to fight you on it.
Okay, for me, there's been numerous times I fell asleep playing this game.
Ooh,
it's a calculator,
Keith,
going over and over and over again. And this game is one of my biggest gripes. I know Keith will probably argue with me on this,
and he should.
The thing I usually don't like about roguelikes is when it's too heavy based on RNG. And to me, this is very heavy based on RNG. There is I had to look this up. There is, so if you still don't quite understand, poker card or joker cards are essentially perks that you're getting to modify your deck and how the scoring happens. There is over 150 jokers that you can get, and you can only carry 5, maybe more if you get negative, like it's a special perk.
Are there seriously that many jokers? Is that true?
You can only get 5
in
your hand, and there's 150 options. So for me, this is what always irritated me, because in my mind, I'm seeing these jokers. I'm like, oh, this would be great with this joker or that one. But I, of course, never get them. And so it's frustrating.
I don't know. That actually kind of sounds fun, though.
Like it.
What you're describing actually kind of sounds more fun to me, though.
What?
Like 150, because when Keith is saying there's unlimited possibilities, like there are quite literally unlimited possibilities with that many jokers. Because obviously I wasn't seeing any of those because I'm sure I haven't unlocked them. I know it said a lot of them were locked for me. So I'm sure there are just some that I haven't seen, but that actually kind of seems a little bit more fun. That is more RNG. That's definitely RNG. That's 150. Like that's kind of crazy, but that also sounds a little fun to me.
So I agree. This is a very, very, very good roguelike. I do agree with that, but I would not put in the camp as my favorite or the best.
So here's where I'd contest, at least in the fact that it's so heavy on RNG, because you are correct that at 150 jokers, There's a wide pool. Now, it comes down to another bit of a math game, right? Though, is as a lot of these things go in any roguelike, these jokers are tiered: common, uncommon, rare, legendary. The ways you can acquire them are limited in nature. The amount and likelihood of them dropping obviously increase. Like commons are more common than uncommon. Weird by their name, I know. And there are a lot of, again, not game breaking, take me to the infinite end of the game strategies, but there are loads of infinite strategies that are built around seemingly innocuous common jokers. Like one of the best jokers in the game, even for some of the game breaking builds, is actually a common joker. So, and then when it comes to the deck manipulation aspect of it, because you really can, and again, like many roguelikes, but at least in the way my mind works personally, this is why I say for me personally, Balatro is like one of the best roguelikes, is the way to manipulate a deck of cards ace through 2 just makes sense to me. And you can do it in a way that at least the RNG of the cards and hands you play is basically guaranteed to what you want it to be.
I will say, after getting my tutorial in streaming, I do kind of want to see like somebody play, not necessarily like I want somebody to explain what jokers they're picking and why they're picking it. Especially if there's 150 of them. That's Keith. How many jokers do you have unlocked at this point?
All of them.
Okay, good. All right, thank God. So I was gonna say, if you want 700 hours and you're like, I'm still like missing 50.
Now, if you want the sad answer to me in my 700 hours, is there in this, again, like many of these styles of games, there's completionist and completionist plus.
Of course.
So the completionist is beating all decks on every stake. So there's a bunch of different decks. Those are all a different modification of how the game plays. Each deck has a different stake that tiers up, which is that's standard across all decks, so that doesn't change.
Stake is difficulty.
Exactly. Yeah. Essentially a difficulty all the way up to gold. That's completionist plus. That's when you beat a deck, or when you beat a run on a certain stake, it puts a little chip sticker on a joker indicating what level of stake it was. So completionist plus is getting a gold chip on every single joker.
Good Lord.
Now again, I don't know where on a bell curve I've seen plenty of people who've done that in like 200 hours.
Yep.
I clearly have not.
The famous achievement hunter Stallion did it. I remember seeing his videos, and he was setting up videos, obviously, of like how to get these achievements. But I follow him on Twitter, and he posted that he did it.
It's crazy. Not an advertisement, because we're not related in any way. I've actually never watched his videos, but I think it's Balatro University is a person you might watch, Aaron.
Okay.
Whoa, there's a school? Can you get a degree?
Yeah, there is a school.
That's the YouTube
tuition
channel.
Is through the roof.
But yeah, that's what he does, is as he plays, he like walks through and explains his thought process on each and every step of the way.
There are, which, speaking of, just as we're kind of talking about this, like there are 2 things though that I wish this game had. Now, I am the noob of this group here, so understand when I am saying these things, I'm speaking from a noob. I don't play a whole lot of roguelikes. You guys have obviously done that a lot on the podcast before I got onto this podcast, so I don't have an extensive history of them. But one of the things that I do kind of like about the genre is the genre is known for being pretty quick. And again, maybe this is just me being slow at Balatro, but it kind of feels like it takes a while to get through a deck. Like
a completed run.
Yeah, like a completed run. It wasn't as fast as I kind of was expecting it. Well, obviously, you can go through a hand pretty quickly, but then the strategy stuff kind of slows you down in between each round, and then it takes a while to work your way up through the antes. So I think it's pronounced auntie actually. Um, and so that was just kind of one of my thought processes when I did it. Keith liked that joke. The other thing that was kind of shocking to me, why doesn't this have multiplayer? I know that there is a mod on PC that has multiplayer, but this feels like something you should be able to do where it's just two of you kind of competing to see who gets the highest score against the blind. I feel like that should have been a thing. Kind of surprising that it's not there.
Yeah, it's called a leaderboard.
Even
which they
a
have.
leaderboard would be tough for this because
I thought don't they actually have a leaderboard?
No.
Yeah, shut up, Andrew.
No, they're
learn from the master.
They're more or less, I guess, unofficial, independent people who like track records for these things, like a lot of games. But
sounds
it's
like a lot of math.
It's a seeded game, so that's the tough part, and that's actually a lot of how that things are tracked too, is seeded versus unseeded.
Hold on, what does that even mean?
So in a lot of roguelikes, the RNG, it's basically, and this is even like Minecraft, right? Like when the world is built in Minecraft, all of the randomization is set, and it's basically built into this one little code of like 6 to 10 digits, whatever, letters and numbers, and that's the seed of it. You can plug that seed in and it will rebuild the same thing over and over again. So
I saw that when you complete your run, you can copy and paste the seed. Okay. So that's what that is.
Like it actually, like there's a very famous seed in Balatro so one of the decks is called erratic deck. When you start the game, it takes the 52 cards and it randomizes it. You might have, 10 hearts, 16 diamonds, like 4 kings, like, or 6 kings, and all these things, like it randomizes. So there's a famous seed that's all 10 of spades. Every card in the 52 card deck is a 10 of spades.
But hold on, how did that? But the decks are all random.
Yeah.
So are you saying somebody one day logged on, played around, and they got all 10 of spades?
And
then they shared that seed.
That was found with these like mods. Like I was telling you, people have these things that will restart a game over and over again until they get. So, this is like where you start to get into like all these layers of the game. The Arcana packs are where you get the tarot cards that I was telling you about. In the Arcana packs is the only place you're going to find a soul card. A soul card is what gives you a legendary joker. There are 5 legendary jokers. Very, very, very shortened version of it all. There's one of those legendary jokers that is used for those like infinite endgame runs. So people will rerun the game over and over, thousands and thousands of games with like a bot to get a like Arcana pack in the first shop that nets them that soul card, and then they'll replay that seed over and over and over and over again to see if they can get the result they want. That's your seeded run. Your unseeded run is, you might, in theory, that could still be an unseeded run the first time you play it. You know what I mean? But But then there's also people who will gripe about whether or not how that seed was found, because that's a whole nother thing. But that's where you get into internet,
which makes sense. That's actually kind of
language.
That's actually kind of a fun idea, though, of like you're trying to find one that like hit perfectly at the beginning, and you save that seed just to replay over and over. That's actually kind of an interesting concept. But why no multiplayer?
I think I'm kind of torn on the multiplayer aspect of it, because I think a lot of it. I think part of it is like the purist in me, like I don't know, it wasn't multiplayer. But
give the people what they want. Give them multiplayer.
No, but the thing is, I'd play the heck out of it, though.
Yes, you would. I know you
absolutely would. So I'm like, I would. I was actually kind of bummed that when I found out that I couldn't get mods on the Game Pass version of Balatro. You have to get the Steam version to get mods, because I wanted to try that actually.
Okay. Get out of here! You did this entitled The purist in me doesn't want it, but anyway, I tried to get it, and I was looking forward to it.
Well, I mean, realistically, it's more like I don't think it needs it, but I do think it would be a lot of fun.
No, of course it
At the very least, I do
need
agree.
it,
Like
obviously.
a leaderboard of some sort would be kind of interesting.
That was Andrew's rip. See, this game's already a pass. I've already pointed out enough here to really start to change my score a little bit.
You've poked all the holes in it now.
I've torn this game to shreds. Keith said math as if it was a positive thing about this game. And that's a problem for me.
Well, again, when it comes to at least arithmetic, which a lot of what this game is, that's the math I like. But the really kind of broken thing about this is it's like anything. It's like Overwatch, it's like Rivals, it's like Battlefield.
Where are you taking this? No, it is not.
The more you play this game, the more it will enrage you, even though you like it. So the thing,
how mad are you after 700 hours, Keith? How enraged are you?
Frequently a lot, actually, because it as much as, and this is going to counter my whole RNG argument, because I think there's
always cyclical, Keith.
I think there's cyclical. AI, but I think there's like AI RNG into this game that it intentionally is like, here's the one thing that we could possibly do to make this impossible for you to win. And it's just like it, I swear to God, it does it just on purpose sometimes. But like the really broken part is that I'm in this weird state because I've played so much that I don't play for those end runs, but I have like an ideal opening scenario that's like a wide net. So this is where, when I talk about why I think the computer is the best experience, on the computer, you can hold down the R key and it immediately restarts you a new run.
Oh my! What I've learned so far.
So when you talk about speed of the game, Aaron, for what it's worth, for you it can take an hour to play a run. I would have been done with that run in about 15 minutes, and I probably still would have lost, but I would have been done a lot sooner.
Which I could see. What I've loved and what I've learned so far in this chat is this game sounds like what it's done to Keith is it's a game that he loves and has broken him at the same time.
I know.
Because he kind of does sound like a man that is like trying to churn this through his head on all of these things that he loves, but then the ways that it has tortured him over these 700 hours. It's kind of wild from my 6. It's a totally different experience. Andrew, do you have any thoughts on this game?
Man,
I feel like I have to stop. Sorry.
Well, I think it's funny. Yeah, this is also the episode of questions that don't get answered. We say a simple question like, "Hey, do you need to play poker?" 30-minute explanation by Keith.
What about the graphics? What do you think about that?
We haven't like talked about anything. But okay.
Well, in all fairness, there was no story here. It is a card-based roguelike. So I won't even call poker like, it's card like. So you're going to talk about the details of this thing. That's just how that's going to work.
But it is funny. Like, I agree with you, Aaron. This is literally like hearing someone having PTSD from like.
Yeah. I've never seen Keith is like sitting here, like just churning through the elements as if like it's been swimming in his head for decades. It's like, he's like the Stephen Hawking's. he is the Stephen Hawking's of Balatro right now is what's going on. The theory of relativity and Balatro are just kind of intertwined for him.
Man, if I was good at like editing, I would love to change like Keith's voice to just like Hawking's robot voice in the entire episode.
Just getting into the details of this game. Listen, I love that Keith loves this game, and I love that he finds games that he loves. And I wish it didn't cause him this much pain, though.
But
I wait for Keith to explain stuff, and you literally just see a tear go
down just a single tear.
While he's like talking about how much he loves the game.
I think it's why Keith's had a hard time answering some of the questions, is because like there's too much going on up there. It's just it's kind of exploding through him.
I get
been
derailed.
Beautiful, huh?
I get derailed. If anything, honestly, It's Charlie from It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Always Sunny. It's like the
Looking up at the
charts
board.
and
Yep.
I think I could that would be me with this game if I was really trying to describe it.
Carol.
But you know what though? How much different is that from Andrew describing like Catan?
Catan. Oh, the board game?
Yeah. Or if I were to venture a bet, because I've also played it and I actually do know it, but Munchkin. Munchkin is a game that like you don't understand until you understand it.
I mean, I feel like, I mean, this is obviously just me. I've never gotten any critique on it. I feel like I'm pretty good at explaining games and whatnot. Hence why I've always been doing it with this podcast. I feel like no one's ever complained to me that I've done a poor job explaining something.
Yeah. You're not bad at it. You taught me how to play Exploding Kittens once, and I thought, if you could teach me how to play Exploding Kittens, you could probably explain anything.
Well, that's a very simple game.
Not for me. Not for me.
I taught you Catan, Aaron.
Well, I don't even remember that though, so it didn't stick with me.
That was years.
So that might be a critique on you.
When your first kid was like not even a year old, I think we played that.
Yeah, and it did not stick in my brain.
Well, obviously, a board game you played once, like 12 years ago.
Well, that's again critique on you. So just something to think about.
But yeah, I guess that's your question, Aaron. Get to the art style. I like this game's art style. It's pixely, kind of voxel. But what's great about this is they have a lot of collaborations with indie studios.
Big studios too, actually, surprisingly. Looking like if you look at the Friends of Balatro.
Am I wrong? Speaking of graphics, not on everything. I have a question. It's a question or a statement, and I'm asking you if I'm wrong in this. When I'm playing it on PC, I notice it more just because I have an ultra wide monitor here, and so because how it borders with my other screen that's connected to my work computer, it looks like it's rounded edges. Is it supposed to look like you're playing on a CRT TV?
Yep.
Yeah, one of the graphic settings that you can enhance the CRT bloom.
Ah, interesting. Because I was sitting there like, why doesn't this line up? I was super confused as to what was happening on the edge because it wasn't lining up with the other half of my monitor. That's a cool little feature. I don't know why.
It's really silly, and not to.
It's not like Balatro something that
we didn't talk about because it doesn't exist, but it like feels like because of that whole CRT thing, that they're it's like some old timey video poker. Like they could have easily tried to stuff in some like
that was my guess.
Oh, you've been sucked into like this evil poker machine and have to fight your way.
I would have liked that.
You're kind of choppy, so I don't know what you're trying to say, Aaron. But yeah, they could have forced some weird story into it, and then they just went, nope, it's just here's a game.
Did we lose Aaron? No, there he is.
It said trying to reconnect. What does that mean?
Choppy right now.
Nope, you're there. You're okay. Out, Aaron.
All right, cool.
I mean, if they added a story, I easily could have put in another 200 hours in this game. So.
No, God, I honestly, I almost think I don't think
if I knew it was fighting an evil computer, I would have loved it.
It was all I needed. Yep. I think so. I actually, I'm gonna get roasted for this one. I spend a lot of time on the subreddit.
Man.
That's a lot of, I think, what drives like why I keep playing, because I'm like, all right, I want to try and like focus on this differently this time, but I there's like when the guy who built this game, Local Thunk is what he goes by, his whole idea around the Jokers was that they had to be described within 4 lines. Like he had like, it was like a handful of like set rules, and it had to deal with like around being like within 4 lines, like certain
that makes sense.
Yeah, like
so it basically has to have a very intended purpose.
Exactly. So even like it's like hey, if I'm going to build out new ones, they have to be within these set of guidelines that they like stay not too confusing, basically, and a series of other things. So like, I know it's not like a true design thing, but it kind of is, at least from like how all the Jokers are, because the Jokers are all really cool. I think, and a lot of them are played of like the same the same look. A lot of them are, the same thing, maybe just a slightly different background. But like the more you look at them, I think all but maybe one or two of them actually say Joker on them somewhere. And if you really
Yeah.
kind of look at them, it all has some variation of a Joker on there. Like there's even one, it's like called the smudge Joker, and it's just, I mean, you can see that it's an image, but it's all smudged. But if you like look closely at it, it's just a smudged out Joker, and like the word Joker is like smudged across it and stuff. So
No, Keith, like majority of them say Joker on it.
no, but no, but what I'm saying is
Joker.
find to-do list. Like that's one in particular that like is actually kind of cool, because what to-do list does is it's a list of different like things to do on a list, but each letter of the list starts with a different word letter of Joker. So it spells out Joker down the left side, but it's like jumping jacks, something that starts with O, something that starts with K.
Interesting.
But they all say Joker. You said like almost none of them say Joker.
No, I said all of them say Joker. If I might have said it wrong. Yeah, there you go. To do.
Yep.
So sorry, I apologize if I said that incorrectly or
Okay.
backwards.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
They all say Joker
Oh, okay.
in some
Yeah,
capacity.
like red card here doesn't say anything.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the only ones that doesn't.
My goodness, we actually did do an hour of this.
I told you, Aaron, we would.
All right, we got to wrap this up. This is just a card game.
All right, yeah. So graphically, game's pretty good. Audio, though, this is going to be my biggest gripes. There is one soundtrack. I don't know how Keith has played 700 hours of this game, and it's one soundtrack.
It literally doesn't need time.
This
I don't hate the song.
It sounds like it's straight up ripped out of Risk of Rain.
I don't hate it. It's kind of got like a little bit of a what do you call that? Like elevator music style to it.
Synthy.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but it honestly kind of fades off into the background. But I would 100% just play this without any sound.
There's hundreds of hours of this just played with Spotify in the background and on mute, because like there's something like you had mentioned, Aaron. I think in a different context, but you kind of mentioned like rhythmic with this game, and like if you start to get like rolling with a hand. I think I mentioned like you see some of these YouTube clips of people that are playing things, and it's like that clinking sound over and over again. It's kind of nice. It's like in a gratifying way, but at the same time, if you are playing this game for hours on end, it actually isn't, even if it happens. So at the end of the day, still
lose that dopamine hit.
Exactly. So really, at the end of the day, it still comes down to Spotify in the background is probably really it. Yeah, there's actually a handful.
There's actually 5 songs. I am mistaken.
I couldn't have told you how many, but I knew there was more than one. But they're all very similar, and they all blend together at the end of the day.
What's wild is how many times some of these tracks have been played.
I know.
Independently, I think this is kind of what you were saying, Aaron. Like independently, they're actually not that bad. It's really just more about, if you think about, like the amount of hours played for some people.
I hope this sounds nothing like it.
This does not sound very
okay. Similar. All right. A similar genre. You got him, Andrew. You really got him there. They used a similar genre, you idiots.
Get some originality.
Oh gosh. The music's fine. Honestly, it doesn't really matter.
No. That's very true. And then as far as the achievements go, the achievements are kind of these are the achievements I don't like in a roguelike. When it's just brutal. Okay, well, I'm on both sides of it. As an achievement hunter, and I want to, as much as possible, 1,000 a game, I hate it. But as a regular person, someone who's not sweaty, I do like the achievement that you are getting a reward for fully destroying this game and beating it completely. I do like that there is at least a achievement you're getting for it that you can have as a badge of honor. But as an actual achievement hunter, I hate it. You are looking at like.
I bet you probably have about the same score I do, though. If
no, you're at like 600. Yeah, I'm at like 400.
If you for 28 hours compared to even if, and I know I'm way far off this, even if you say I had 100 hours and you had 28 and we were only off by 200, I'd say that's really close. And then let's remember, I'm not at 100 hours. I'd say you're really close to me.
I'm at 290.
Oh, hey, Michael.
Yeah, Michael jumped back in.
Nice.
Love seeing him in the chat.
Let's see. Where's Keith? Keith, you're hard to find now because I also forgot to mention this. You finally changed your gamer icon.
I did not. That was one of the kids. And I just haven't changed it back because that's how much I care about
That
my gamer
counts.
icon.
You're at 660, Keith.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not, and a lot of it's on that. I think the only one I have left that's truly like an in-game challenge is to get my deck below, I think it's 30 or 40 cards. And that's actually, at least for me, it's been harder than it would seem.
All right. But yeah, I like Aaron was so sure that this episode would not be an over an hour long.
I didn't think we could pull it off.
He hasn't been
Keith
around,
made
he
it
hasn't
happen.
been around
Though.
long enough. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And it's funny, looking at Keith, he has more to say.
I could talk about this game for so long.
I believe it.
I'll wait for my wrap up to mention this. It's not even a big thing.
I'll start off with this wrap up. For me, like I said, Balatro, it's a very fun roguelike. I disagree a little bit with Aaron. I do not think you need a poker background to play this game. Will it help? Sure. But you play this game enough and you're going to quickly learn what to do, how to do it. I do wish this game actually won Game of the Year because as simple as this game is, it's quite unique. Like, who would have thought a poker roguelike would exist? And so I'm still upset that Astrobot won it over this. Like, come on. What, Aaron?
I've been misrepresented here. And then Andrew just immediately contradicted himself. One, I never said you needed to have some like poker extensive background, but you do need to have a knowledge on it. Then Andrew shot me. I don't believe that you need to have that. And then he called it a poker roguelike, not even 30 seconds later. What is it? Is it poker or is it not poker?
It is poker.
Get out of here. All right. Here's my thoughts on the game. The game is actually a lot of fun.
You let me finish the score.
Okay, go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead, Andrew.
But that being said, I've put over like close to 30 hours. I enjoy it every once in a while. Is this going to be my favorite one? No, but this is still a lot of fun. I wish there was more soundtrack to it. Come on, give me another song. I'm giving this an 88. Go ahead, Aaron.
It's lower than I thought it would be. This is a fun game. Yes. Yeah. If you haven't picked this up yet, you need to know math. And you need to know at least the basics of poker, what a hand looks like in poker. That's it. Other than that, everything else is off the rails. This is a game I'll probably still pick up and play just because each run felt like you're going to find something unique. And I felt like, man, if I just had a couple things go my way there, I probably could have pulled that off. Or if I understood poker, I probably could have done that. But with that being said, fun game. I'm going to give it an 84. That feels good for me. For 6 hours, that feels like the right place to be.
I was so excited for Balatro to come to Game Pass. And honestly, not just because we could do an episode on it. It really wasn't. It's just I wanted to be able to tell more people to play this game. I truly just think it's
He's a Balatro witness.
No, because I think that more people know because this is where I differ, at least in the need to know poker knowledge. I think enough people understand pairs and what a 3 of a kind is and all of these things, especially when the game explains it to you. But I think enough people understand those things more than they understand what some weird artifact in Slay the Spire is. The Jokers, I think, are really, again, where so much of this game differs, and otherwise the planet cards really just come down to math and leveling up your hands, all those things. But it's such a simple game that has such a deeper strategy and overall gameplay to it, and I think that's what I I find most interesting about it. But I can just kind of mindlessly rip through these runs, and like I'll get annoyed when I lose certain ones, but there's still nothing at the end of the day that I'm just like, "Ah, I'll never get back to that again." Like I always feel like I can get back to that next run and I can get back to what I was trying to do. One thing I will say though is that despite having this as many hours in the game, I told you this, Aaron, I was having more fun backseat driving watching you play.
Watching an idiot play.
It's I don't know. Maybe it's like watching, like teaching your kid how to ride a bike a little bit. Like it's just like, oh, he's learning. This is so sweet.
Look at this dummy.
Like there was one time you moved
Open
over
your
one of your
helmet.
cards to the right without being told to, and I was so proud of you. Or it was
I
your
did it.
Joker. You bought a Joker and you immediately moved it to the left. And I was just proud, and there was something special about watching and walking you along through there. So I think there's something about it, and I think that at least for me, I don't know. There's not a lot of games where I'm like, you've got to try this game. You just got to try it, and I find myself doing that. And now that it's on Game Pass, I can do it more. I'm gonna give it. I agree with Andrew though that this game should have won Game of the Year, and I think
I thought you
too.
were gonna give it an 88.
No,
Give it a
it's
score, Keith.
95.
I was
Huh?
expecting like a 99.
I don't do 99s. I think I did like once or twice, and I think that was actually like Ori.
That's why you should do a 96 then. So reverse
reverse
nice.
69, but then it would have been the opposite of nice.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Anyways, 95.
Metacritic. I actually had to look this up. It says a Metascore of 90 and a general user score of 8.3. Man,
Pretty good.
pretty solid. But there we go. Now we can finally stop talking about Balatro. I'm surprised this podcast survived this game because there's been
We survived
numerous
the
weeks-
Halo show. We survived Balatro.
Well, there's numerous times Keith barely would play the game because he was just so wrapped up in Balatro. And I was just like, I thought for sure, I'm like, we are not going to play. We're not going to record.
I always make it work.
But there we go. Finally done with it. Thank you all so much for joining us. As I say, go to GamePassGrabBag.com. You'll go to our link tree with all our links to all our socials. Join us on our YouTube or Twitch. Aaron streams quite a bit. We record live on there on Wednesdays. Check us out on our Twitter. Come to our Discord. Me and Keith are quite active on there. We love talking to people. Always love hearing from everyone. Thank you all the people who write comments on our Spotify. Thank you all. We greatly appreciate it. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird01952.
And I'm Aaron. Thank you for joining, and I'll catch you on the next one.
That's a good phrase.
Thank you.
I'm Keith. Joke's on you, Andrew. This game's on PC now, and I like playing it better there, so I'm gonna keep playing it more.
Booyah.
Also, it carries over all my progress from Xbox, so I didn't.
Oh,
Have
that
to
is nice.
Oh, actually, that's a
unlock
good
everything.
question. Is it crossplay?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
At
gosh.
least now, it doesn't for mobile. It doesn't put PC and Xbox. It does. There you go, Aaron. I won't straight.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. We love you all. We'll see you again next week.
See ya.
Bye.
I was
Wow.
going to say one more point about xCloud, but it was